Hey guys, I'm Rick, and that is One Big Pile of Bricks with our amazing guest, Dave Holder.
Welcome.
Hello,
Welcome.
thanks for having me.
How are you, sir? What's been happening? Explain everything.
Explain everything.
Wow.
Like a lot of people, just, doing the best to exist. But yeah, thanks for having me. I like what you've done with this whole...
Yeah, because you saw
setup.
the space before.
I have.
did,
I
yeah.
saw it as like an empty office space. But no, it looks really good.
Well,
Thank
thanks, man.
you.
We appreciate it. So, for those listening and watching at home, how is our story and how did we meet, Dave?
We met at a Brickvention, probably 2018 it must have been.
I think so.
I think. Yeah, so a couple of years, coming on a 4-year friendship. Pretty much, Brickvention's this weekend.
Yeah,
I don't
it
know
is.
when the podcast will air. but
Podcast will be
Brickvention's
out later, but Brickvention is
Yeah,
happening right now.
Brickvention
That's
has
right.
been and gone by the time that
Yeah,
this is
pretty
on air.
much.
But yeah, like not to the date, but it's our 4-year anniversary essentially.
Bless.
Aw,
We can't
cute.
hold hands, but that's fine.
Yeah.
So with obviously us meeting at Brickvention, what were you doing at Brickvention?
When I was at Brickvention the first time we met, I was working for LEGOland Discovery Centre in Melbourne as their
Yeah.
master builder. So was managing the LEGOland display that we had there for the Brickvention.
And those who are interested in Legoland and all that stuff that comes with the job, how did you get the job at Legoland?
Good question. So yeah, Legoland, and I feel like Lego, I don't know if you've experienced this like in the past couple of years, but Lego, especially in Australia, has become like way bigger than it ever was. Like I
Yeah.
think like 5 years ago, really was not a thing. Like there was no certified stores, there was no Legoland. It was really kind of just, it didn't have the same like massive brand power that it did overseas.
No,
Australia,
that's right.
Australia was forgotten.
Yeah, Australia was sort of left behind a little bit. We're
Then
now
we
obviously...
we had the Lego movie, and that really kicked it all off.
But yeah, like in terms of like brand visibility, I felt it was like just like a really underground brand in terms of
Yeah.
people didn't really attach to the brand. They'd go to Kmart or they'd go to Target. But then all of a sudden, you got the Lego movie, and then all of a sudden there's this news of a Legoland Discovery Centre opening. And, now we've seen as well all these other stores and stuff pop up, and the brand is
Yeah.
now kind of there. So, the Legoland Discovery Centre opened in February 2017, it must have been. And yeah, I applied, and there was a building competition with 100 other like very talented builders, and I managed to win it. And so I ended up being the Legoland master builder, and that's when we met at Brickvention the first time.
Was it a great experience, you would say, working for Legoland?
It was, the way I kind of likened it, it was almost like going to like Lego University for
Yeah.
me. Like there's very few other opportunities in like a Lego career to throw you into a position where you can learn and develop as much as working as a Legoland. Like probably people who work for the LCPs get that opportunity as well, but they usually have a really solid Lego background as well. But for me, yeah, I always kind of likened it to going to Lego University. Like you had to have the right attitude and
Yeah.
like the right kind of set of skills to get there. Like no one starts being that master builder role at the top of their game. They go in with the right attitude and to develop. So I felt that was probably my strength. And then over the course of the time that I was there, that's when I kind of actually developed and found my style and technique and kind
Yeah.
of build up on the skills there. Yeah.
It wasn't just about building, too, either, was it? You had a lot of dealings with the public, didn't you?
Yeah, pretty much. Part of the role is like brand ambassador for the Legoland Discovery brand. So, lots of like almost like monthly TV appearances. Have been on shows like Postcards and Totally Wild and like News Crosses and things like that. So it was like quite a front facing role.
Yeah.
So as with like a Legoland brand, you've got Ryan McNaught, who's like, certified professional
Yeah.
brickman. So he's
Brickman.
like a big icon. And then for the Legoland brand, as a master builder, you become their kind of like ambassador for the brand as well. So yeah, lots of variety. It was really quite an amazing experience because of how varied it was. It wasn't just like, a lot of people I think would come up with this term like, brick monkey, where like you're not
Yes.
you're not just in a
Little four walls and building all the time.
no, it
Yeah.
was incredibly varied. Like you'd run classes for kids, you would run events out on the floor. You'd have a huge variety of work that you would do, which was probably the best part of the job, just the variety. And then you got to develop as a builder yourself.
Would you say was your favourite part of the job? What's the best display you've been a part of?
We got to do really cool stuff. Like we got to do like really awesome, huge community activations.
Cool.
One thing that we did was like a 5-meter long Millennium Falcon. That,
Oh, that's
Wow.
awesome.
did you see it?
Yeah,
in
I did. It was
Southland?
like I've seen
Yeah.
a few like photos of you. Like, look how good I am. Like,
Yeah.
That
Look,
was
look
very
at this
impressive.
giant. Look at me almost having a panic attack at the thought of starting a project
No,
like
well,
this.
you did it.
Yes, yeah, because that was started. Maybe I'd only been working. Yeah, it was in December of 2017, so I'd only been working for the brand for 8 months or so.
well,
So
and
it
they've
was
just thrown you into the deep end. It's like build a Millennium Falcon. You're like, okay.
yeah, cool. And it's like it's going to be 5 meters. So running projects like that, like we've done them with Millennium Falcon, we've done it with dinosaurs. The strength of the Legoland brand is the community involvement. We did lots and lots of projects which revolved around schools, and you'd build their school. You get asked kids to do
that's
like
awesome.
creative challenges, and you say come up with the best like drawing of your school and we'll build it. And we were building things like kids sea creatures
Yeah.
and things, for
that's
example.
awesome.
So the best part about it was that kind of community involvement engagement that Legoland, especially Discovery Centre, had because of the age range for the kids.
Well,
So-
the world's changed so much, obviously, in the world of TikTok. There's a few master builders based overseas that have TikTok that have millions of followers now.
It's all about
Alec,
TikTok.
Alec
Alec is a cool dude.
he my very first call to like a master builder overseas, and like I think maybe my second day was like, here you've got a Skype call with Alec.
Oh, cool.
So I've known him for 5 years now, and he's a legend. Like his TikToks are incredibly
His
well
social
done.
reach, for one, Lego don't have to pay and Legoland don't have to pay.
Yeah.
His social reach on TikTok is so massive that you can't miss one of his videos, and he's very approachable. Obviously, that's the brand.
Yeah.
But he's done such an amazing job. Imagine if you had that tool back then, how different it would be now.
He's essentially like the perfect master builder, like the perfect Legoland Discovery Centre master builder. Like he's super engaging. His builds are really cool. They're really not gimmicky, but really they got a lot of excitement and like a lot of moving parts. So like the little bricks he does that open, and lots of like little vending machines and stuff that has a lot of
I
action
love his
points.
nameplate ones when he builds like people nameplates.
Yeah,
and builds, like
he-
sea turtles and stuff. Like,
Yeah. He's incredibly talented. He's a very, very talented builder, and he's been there, I think, probably maybe like 7 or 8 years. I
Wow.
think he'd been there for maybe 3 years prior to me starting. So he's been there for a very long time. But he does a great job. He's a phenomenal like Legoland Discovery Centre master builder, I think.
But I think too, you got to give yourself more credit because before being a part of the Legoland brand, you did work with Brickman a couple of times. How was
Yeah.
that as an experience? Like,
That was great. That was a very, very odd, not in a bad way, but just like the way you're introduced to like giant Lego building.
Uh-huh.
it's an experience,
Yes.
right?
Oh, it's just beyond anything you can kind of imagine, like the scale of projects that you're doing that take, weeks or months at a time to
How
do.
are your thumbs?
Usually like it's
No.
it's not the thumbs, it's usually the wrists, to be honest, because the
Oh, yeah,
the
okay.
motion of like pressing bricks down like this, it's this weird
Yeah.
kind of twisting motion on your wrists that you kind of that I'm not used to. So yeah, the
Yes.
thumbs are fine, the fingers are
Oh,
okay.
right, okay.
They're the vessel, like
Uh-huh.
it's the wrists that are kind of driving it.
RSI.
So
Is it
type
the
stuff.
Christmas stuff that you did?
Yeah.
That was a part of it? It was like
yeah.
the big Christmas tree. I think it was in Sydney. Is that right?
Started in Sydney and then
Oh,
went to
yes.
Melbourne, New Zealand, and then ended up at Singapore before.
Oh, wow.
I think maybe got too damaged to continue.
End of
tour
life
around.
stuff, because a lot of people don't realize Lego models that are touched by the public or outside in the elements, like because it's massive. It was
Yeah, yeah.
huge.
Oh,
It was,
it was,
yeah.
Just wears down
It was
after
10
a while.
meters tall. It was,
Wow.
I think, like the biggest ever Lego Christmas tree. Yeah, it was.
Wow.
Huge. It was huge. It was
Huge.
insanely massive. And then there was like huge other models and stuff that like a surfboard minifig Santa,
cool.
Oh, yeah.
like a surfing Santa.
Be interesting to see
minifig.
where half that stuff ends up, because after like Lego did this thing, and I was talking to Mark earlier in a previous podcast about they do like rebuild the world and then it's like gone. They do it for like 2 minutes. Here's this display and then it just disappears.
Oh, you're not supposed to know
I have
where
no
it goes.
idea. It is
Goes
it's
to
beyond
Lego
my
heaven.
pay. Yeah, beyond
Lego
my pay
heaven,
grade.
right?
Lego
Lego
heaven, that's
heaven.
right,
Yeah, yeah.
yes.
And obviously with building with Lego, you're obviously a big deal now. There's a massive company. If you guys don't see them, they're everywhere. Brickabuilds, who build amazing products.
Yes.
There's a reason why this amazing Evie is here, Dave. Tell us
Yes.
all about your experience on how you got involved with Brickabuilds,
What they do,
what they do,
how you're involved,
so people
all
know
of
what's
that.
going on.
Yeah. Also a good question. So yeah, Brickabuilds is a company that I not work with, but like not work for. Like it's a collective brand. Like, you know, we all come together. Like it's honestly like a family, the way we all kind of all
That's
work
awesome.
together. So very passionate fans that I guess kind of saw a bit of a, not even opening in the market, because it never really started to be like a massive business. It started as a vessel to kind of follow our hobbies and passions, and it was to create those life-size LEGOland style builds that you just don't get through like your regular run-of-the-mill Lego set. Like the Lego sets are like these intricate, like, you know, ships or play sets, and everything is very heavy minifig driven in the world of Lego. So we just started off with some sculptures. The people that I work that started back maybe last November is when those conversations kind of started. It was just two guys.
Wow, it's not even that long, right? Like, it's not, I wouldn't say a new company, because to me, they're big in the Lego space. Like, they are a big deal, like massive followers everywhere.
Yeah.
And for them to be not young, but new-ish, blows my mind at how great they are.
The Instagram was started in November last year. So it's now been around for 14 months is how long the brand's been around for. But yeah, what we've kind of developed into as a brand is creating life-size brick-built sculptures of, you know, popular characters and like pop culture icons. So like
lots of Pokemon,
lots of Pokemon, lots of like Star Wars helmets,
you're killing
Nintendo things like that. So
it's really great products. Like, I'm a massive sucker.
So if you want to
Pokemon.
build something, let's say like Eevee, for instance, you go onto their website, you can buy the instructions, and then they'll also send you all the bricks and the instructions, obviously, to make Eevee.
Yeah,
or
so
the character it is, right?
So we got to a point where we wanted to kind of make the user experience better. So we actually order parts through Bricklink and through Lego directly, and actually pre-package the kits for people to buy.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so for those watching who are familiar with, you know, the general AFOL and, you know, the way to be in the Lego communities, you spend a lot of time on Bricklink, and you spend a lot of time just getting parts, and it takes months to accumulate the parts. So
your time and the expense and the postage, all of that, it all adds up, doesn't it?
Yeah, like, and I think Eevee might be like 2,300 parts or something like that. So to accumulate those parts takes time, and there's not as much like
especially in that color.
Yes.
Yeah, it's a very highly
you want that more
colour.
Instant gratification that you do when you like buy a Lego set.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
we started quite small, just doing a couple of sets and like pre-packaging the bricks, but then they became so popular, and the demand was really quite high, so we kind of like upscaled, and now our kind of core product that we sell is instructions and bricks for these fan designed life-size models of Pokemon and your other fan favorites in pop culture. Yeah.
Well, Caroline knows I love them.
But when we bought Eevee, she obviously came in a box with the instructions, and Rick opened it and had a look and went, oh, this is a lot of building.
Yeah.
And Sam, our employee, who was here on that particular day, Rick said, oh, Sam, would you like to build Eevee? And he was so excited.
Yeah.
Took it home, built it. I think it was a few days later, brought it back and was like, oh, look what I built.
Yeah.
It was a very exciting moment to have a look at the finished product.
Because it's very different to the type of sets that have traditionally existed from Lego that you get.
Yeah.
And again, they're pretty much everything that we do is life size or a very, very close replica based on what's realistic. But all the Pokemon we've done so far have all been essentially scaled to their, you know, real.
They're
Nintendo
really, really good.
In-game
They're really
sizes.
good. Dan can do magic and probably zoom in behind us, but there's more behind me. You know, like Pikachu was one of the first ones, which was, you know, obviously, you know, Pikachu's amazing.
Yeah.
But then you're pumping out so many that I'm struggling to keep up, and I'm like, hey, Caroline, can I buy this?
But they're not rushed. It doesn't seem like any of
they're
these
very
builds are
good.
rushed
Like,
at all.
Massive credit to you guys to come into the Lego space and not only create demand for a product that wasn't around.
Yeah.
Like, because it wasn't around, right?
It's
no
true.
one was in that space.
No.
Anyone can sell instructions.
Sure.
Like, we've had this chat multiple times about it.
Yeah.
But, like, to create basically, which is, the instructions are amazing. Like,
Someone more
they're
like
very
myself,
clear. Like,
I'm not going to sit there and source all the pieces. But I'll see that built and I'll say, oh yeah, that's awesome. I wouldn't mind building it, but provide me with everything right there and then, and I'll do it.
Yeah, there is a big demand for Lego fans who want something a little bit different, and it's not, you know, you're a bit of an outlier where you want to buy everything, and you're lucky to be able to buy that. But, you know, for some people, they just want to have that one piece or their one favorite character or some, or, you know, something from their favorite franchise that they really kind of connect with, and they're like, if they're a massive Star Wars fan, they might want, a Darth Vader bust, or they might get, a Boba Fett helmet, or whatever it might be. If they're a big fan, not necessarily just of Lego, because it's not just a Lego set, it's also that character that they're really familiar with.
You've created that. Sorry, Caroline.
No, I was just going to say there's definitely something there for everyone, right?
Yeah. We're continuing to branch out and continue to make more fan designs and more likenesses of characters, because these are not official products. They're fan designs that we're providing to the community.
I think you guys have done an amazing job. Like, you've carved a market for yourselves, which I don't think anyone else will get close to. There is other people out there that have sold designs in the past and try to do the same thing, but you can comfortably pick up Eevee and not break. I think that's a big credit, right? Because the bigger, I don't know, it could be anything. The bigger the Lego set, the risk of it breaking is always high, right?
True.
There's no glue. She is as she is.
Yeah, she's not glued. She's as it is. It's amazing. Yeah, it's been really.
Yeah, so any of the models we release, we make sure that they're totally structural without any glue, because it's not a standard user experience to want to glue your Lego model. And so we design them all to make sure that they are perfectly fine for can't throw them around.
Display.
Like,
that's a shame.
You're not going to give it to your 5-year-old, of course.
Well, on that note, Dave.
You could probably give it to a 5-year-old, because all the bricks kind of lock in.
Depends on the 5-year-old, I guess.
Yeah, because once you've got a structure like a Lego sculpture kind of like that, the layers kind of like they not warp, but they kind of twist and they kind of through the whole thing they interlock. Like if I was to say rip Eevee's head off, you can't just pull it off.
No, I've noticed like there's been a couple of times where like we had them, obviously our store is downstairs and the podcast studio's upstairs, where I've like transported them up and I've gone like slipped and been like, oh, but it didn't break. I was like, oh.
I've seen the way Dave's held some of these models.
I
cringe. He goes, oh no, it's fine.
He's like, look, and you're like, oh no,
sturdy.
Dave, don't drop it.
Yeah.
With the average, like say you're designing Eevee, what's the kind of manpower that goes into from the start to the finish? Like how many hours are involved?
With the Pokemon, I pretty much take that responsibility on for design myself from kind of like square one. Yeah. So I'll do the initial design, and all the people that I work with at Brick are very talented, and it's actually really a great way to collaborate. Like I get a lot out of collaboration. This Eevee is a variation of an Eevee I did a few years ago. I used to have one that was on all 4 paws.
Yeah, that's right, you did.
And this one's like, it's probably not as realistic to do one that's standing up for people at home. So that's where kind of like the idea came from, have it sitting down, make it a bit more dynamic, have the tail kind of coming out the side, like not just like a static, I'm standing there looking forward, like a bit more character. So I do the initial design and kind of do all the sculpting in like Lego programs like LDD and kind of build it from the ground up. And then from there, we'll all kind of discuss things that we think might need to be altered a little bit, like with this particular model with the Eevee, a few discussions around like the way the fluff is, and kind of then we'll look at reference images, and then we'll kind of make comparisons until everyone kind of says, yeah, this is probably the best way to do it. So collaboration is a huge part of it once the initial model's done, but I'll usually take on the model and do the whole thing in like a program like Studio or a Lego Digital Designer, and then we'll all talk about any modifications or changes, and then a very talented group of guys that do the instructions for it. We then order the parts, we then build it. We see if there's anything that need to be changed once it's actually physically built, because sometimes you do miss tiny bits and pieces between digital and physical. And then we've got some incredibly talented content creators who take photos and quick builds, and then we'll release the instructions and now source bricks as well for people to
Is that the hardest part, trying to source such a big quantity?
Yeah, definitely yes. It probably takes the longest. It's probably the biggest time sink in terms of actually releasing something, because you can whip up some instructions, you can essentially go, yep, cool, here you go, they're done. But to give that product for people who want to actually just get a box of Lego sent to their house and just build it. Because Bricklink, for seasoned AFOLs and fans of Lego, it can make sense, but it can still be very daunting at times. Like
It's still a very confusing system. Like, I still use it, like, when I need specialty parts and I don't want to rip up a $300 Lego set for a
No,
Mythica.
that's right.
Sure.
You know, like, there's always that one, like,
Yeah.
he's got a new hat. Like, so you need it, right?
Yeah, 100%.
So, like, I was using it the other day and I was like, oh, it's still so confusing. Like, it's not streamlined, like, you know, Lego.com
And
or
at the
whatever.
moment, we've got we've got shipping delays, certain countries not shipping here, all the rest of it. It goes on and on.
But I think you guys need to be given credit to create such a nice looking, it's an animal effectively, a nice looking flowing animal just out of blocks. There's no sort of curvature. It's like perfect. I like the way she sits.
Yes.
Yeah.
Obviously have shiny Eevee, she's, you know, cool as well. And then
Yeah.
you've got, you know, there's multiple different ones that I need to catch up on, which I have to now because I got you on the podcast, so I better order some stuff, right? Like, that's how it goes.
No pressure. No pressure.
But yeah, I think kind of leaning back to what I was saying before in terms of, you know, the Legoland journey being like going to Lego uni, like this stuff I would not have even imagined of being able to do like when I first started. So this is kind of like years of development and refinement in terms of that sculpture building, because you're very lucky working with like a Lego brand, getting access to the quantity of bricks. Like you can send an email to Denmark and then within 6 weeks you have honestly tens or hundreds of thousands of parts, you know, shipped to your door. So that's where I kind of developed, I guess, skills is the right word, to be able to do this, these sculpture models and stuff. Yeah.
I personally love them. I think they're amazing. Like,
That's my favourite.
that's Caroline's favorite.
is.
I want to pull the trigger on a Darth Vader, but I've got Pokemon and he doesn't go. Like, it's like, where do you put him? Like,
the Pokemon, it's so cute.
yeah, Caroline's like, stick to the Pokemon. I'm like, yeah, but look at his Spider-Man.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
and of course, without spoiling
cool.
Spider-Man, like,
Plus, you know, we know a very special 6-year-old and she loves Pokemon, so, you know, we have to kind
well,
of
that's fair.
keep her interested as well.
Yeah, I think the Pokemon have been incredibly popular because of their size, and they are. We try really, really hard to make them life size, and everything that we've released so far has been pretty much like within millimeters, like, you know, based on the size of Lego, you know, blocks and plates to their Game Boy game like heights. So we try really, really hard to make sure that if someone's getting a product, they can really kind of connect with it. And so it's not just, you know, a random Lego set or a bust. It's like it's a character and it's something they've built, and it's kind of that IKEA effect, which is something that Lego has built into it. It might be even, you know, we could call it the Lego effect, but if you ask someone how they feel about like a set of drawers, and if they've built it themselves, they'll always feel far more positive about it than if they've just bought it. So if you sell someone, you know, a set of pre-made IKEA drawers, they're like, oh yeah, it's fine. But if they've built it themselves, they feel far more
Connected to it.
connected to it because they built it themselves. Like, I've done this, I'm proud of this, and I think that's one of the probably one of the biggest strengths of the Lego as a brand. It's just like, I did this, I built this. You know, this was in essence nothing, and now it is something right here in front of me.
It's all about experience. Rick and I always speak about giving people an experience in our store. You're giving people, Brickabuild is giving people that experience through building. It's the same thing, right? You have that emotional connection.
Yeah, and with a lot of the characters that we try and interpret, you know, they're very ingrained in pop culture. So people, you know, have that either like nostalgia or that love for a franchise, and they've got potentially that love for Lego. But we find that we have quite a lot of people that aren't necessarily Lego fans, but they're a massive fan of a particular franchise, and they want to kind of have an extra experience that kind of links them together. So people might be like, hey, I'm a massive Pokemon fan, not really a Lego fan, but I saw that character and I think it has, you know, so much, you know, movement and character, and I really want to have that, and I want to build it myself. You know, I want that experience.
We get massive, like, everyone, obviously we film podcasts and everyone's like, oh, Pokemon, I didn't know Lego did that. I'm like, wow. And you tell them the story like, oh my God, that's really cool. I'm like, yeah. And, you know, like, when kits, the good thing about Brickabuild I find is that you keep revisiting old kits, so when you run out of something, you're like, hey, we've got more, which is really smart, because one, the people who complain they miss out, because that's what happens sometimes, can go back and be like, hey, I can get Eevee again, or Pikachu, or whatever else you're doing. Or they could get a Darth Vader bust. It's been really smart. Like, just the product and the content and the time that's involved. It's just...
Well, if you create a timeless piece, you can have people going back and you can revisit it without having to reinvent the set.
Yeah, sometimes we make modifications on a couple of them. Like,
oh, wow.
You know, we are not prone to making mistakes, especially considering how small the team
it's going to happen
still, and probably was a lot more. I'm going through and building the Spider-Man one, and I'm actually building it from the instructions.
Oh, wow.
So usually what I would do is when I'm building something like this is build it just visually from the 3D file that I create.
Yeah.
But for Spider-Man, because the guys did the instructions before I got the parts, I'm now building it from the instructions, and I'm kind of seeing tiny little things. That are
Is
not,
that the one where he's sort of on the side, that he's sort of like the side bit?
No, this is just the front.
Oh, wow.
The brand new front bust from the what's the latest one? No Way Home. Is that the?
Is that No Way Home?
Far
No
from home? No way home?
No Way Home. No Way Home.
Yeah, we just got a nod from the
Sorry,
guys.
there's a lot of Homecoming, Far From Home.
There's
No
a
Way
lot
Home.
of like no way how to get home.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
Connected.
Spider-Man has a lot of trouble with home. But so we've done a new bust, and again, nothing wrong with it, but like tiny little tweaks as I'm going through, and be like, this might make the user end experience like slightly better, or
well,
things
before
like
obviously Brickabuilds, where I've purchased quite a few items off you, obviously.
that. Yeah.
I know you're very particular, and I know that you want things to be perfect, and I think that's what's the key to Brickabuild's success, is having you going, hey, with that, obviously master model builder experience, going, hey, that could be done better.
Yeah.
Less part heavy, we could change this a little bit, because you need the model to be friendly. If it's too heavy or it twists awkwardly, or like, and I think you're going back to the old models and rebuilding them is quite smart.
Yeah, like everything, especially with Lego, and for those who kind of do their own builds at home, they're constantly seeing room for improvement. There's a lot of builders out there who will buy the off-the-shelf sets and then look for rooms to improve as well. So it's a very common part of the Lego community and the Lego brand to see something and kind of want to put your own little twist on it. But having a look at some of the models, we'll revisit them from time to time to just tweak things, make it a bit better. Sometimes as well, brick availability might change just because of the market, so we might make a few tweaks here and there.
Color would be a big one as well, if you want to change the color slightly, right? Because this is obviously quite a rare-ish color in Lego. It's not everywhere, so that would make it difficult for supply, I would assume.
Yeah, well, we just we order huge amounts of our parts just directly from Lego.
Oh wow!
Just through their bricks and pieces and pick a brick online and things like that. So we're having to just purchase like anyone else would, off the Lego site, and then kind of package the products up ourselves. Yeah,
I think you've done a great job with these.
Thanks.
Because like Pokemon's awesome. With all the models you've released, or future models you're going to release, if you're allowed to talk about them, what's the most favorite one to date that you've designed?
The most, as in like the ones that we've done so far.
Yeah,
what's
like
feedback?
what your favorite
Oh
is.
no,
Right?
no, we can talk a little bit. Like we're pretty open. Like we rely. We're all fans of our own, franchises and stuff as well. But the thing that's helped us gain, I guess, popularity is the people that appreciate the work that we put in. So we rely very heavily on them to help kind of influence the models and stuff that we're doing. So we just finished a poll of what our first like major release for. What year are we in? 22?
Yeah, 2022. Which may be released before or around this podcast. So
we ran a poll on Instagram because the feedback from people who follow us and who want the products is incredibly
it only
valuable.
let me vote once. Sorry.
It's okay. So we had 16 characters that we thought people might want to see, and that kind of narrowed down to a finale of Iron Man and Charmander. And we were honestly very surprised that Iron Man took out the winning pole position for the model we're going to build first. So we've started working on that, and we're going to try and get that out to people as soon as we think it's ready.
I'm probably going to buy one. Like, it's Iron Man.
Yes, you do love Iron Man.
It's Iron Man.
And it's very funny as well, because people are like, oh, I want this helmet, and I want this helmet. It's like, I want a Mark 3, or I want a Mark 83, or
I just want Iron Man.
Plenty of future builds there.
Yeah.
Do you think a big part of it too, sorry to cut you off, do you think the big part of it too is because with Spider-Man just releasing, do you think it's because it's like the big Marvel push that's brought it forward again?
I honestly don't know. I was honestly blown away at like, not that I'm disappointed or surprised or anything like that. Like, it's an incredibly loved franchise,
awesome.
and some of people's favorite Marvel movie is like that original Iron Man. They're like, that set the tone and that kind of restarted it, and that's where it. I still know lots of people that say that's their favorite kind of Marvel Cinematic Universe film. So yeah, honestly, no surprise, and it's going to be a lot of fun doing the kit. I just wasn't expecting.
Yeah, because
expecting to do it.
For people watching and listening at home, what was the other kit that you were voting against?
And for Charmander.
Yeah,
so
Charmander.
Iron Man versus Charmander. So both are going to happen. It was just which one people wanted to see first.
I was surprised by I was like, saw my messages. I'm like, it's got to be Charmander, man. I need Charmander. Like, and then Iron Man, I was like, but I'll still get both. It doesn't matter.
You will.
Iron Man will be fun. Like, yeah, they're just so incredibly different in terms of the design process and what they are. Like the helmets are those iconic, pop culture references of just kind of like, there it is. There is that character's helmet. Like, that's what they wear. There's something about the helmets, through Star Wars and through superheroes, like the helmet or the mask or something that has so much like
iconic,
powerful
image.
But I think too, making human heads would be hard, like, because they can come off a little bit ugly in Lego form, because it's hard to get the right tones and the shapes and the eye squinting and
it will be challenging to come up with something that is quite definitive, because that's what we try and do as well. Like, it's that collaboration process where we really want the product, when people get it, once they build it, to be like, I am so happy I bought this. Like, this, completely scratches the itch that I had for this character. So we put a lot of time into it.
I'm so pumped. I just think it's great what you're doing, and I think those guys are incredibly lucky to have you a part of the team, because, I was a big supporter of you when you left the LEGOland circuits. I was like, I should buy this statue, and we ended up with so many. We've got so many downstairs. So if you want to see any of Dave's work, we've got heaps. There's like Mario and a ghost and a couple other things like the man.
Chicken,
rabbit.
Yeah, there's a chicken and a rabbit. So if you want to see any of Dave's work, like not up close, but close enough, come in store, check it out. But I just wanted to say, obviously, a big thanks to Dave Holder. It's been a busy year for everybody.
It's been a crazy year.
It's been a crazy year. Dave is, working everywhere, Brickabuilds, and he's, doing stuff with Lego Masters, so he's busy everywhere. So we're incredibly lucky to get Dave's time to be able to come and film a podcast, show off his amazing, Brickabuild stuff. I'll put a link down the bottom. You can follow Dave on Instagram. You can look at Brickabuild's Instagram, website, TikTok. I'll put all the links for you guys, because you need to follow these guys. If any company is going to make it, it's going to be Brickabuild.
We've got to put a link too for the Iron Man and Charmander.
Oh yeah, so if it's out in time, we'll put the links for those. But I'm sure Dave's working as hard as he can.
He is.
Just faster, Dave would be awesome.
Wait, too hard. I need a break. There's a couple of designs that I need to finish, and then I've told myself it is a month of no Lego.
Well, that's fair.
Just nothing.
You need a break too.
I'm just gonna go to the bed. I think I'm gonna drive to Cairns or something and just
Well, you might see Dave in Cairns on the news. Hopefully not in trouble, but that's fine. But thank you so much, Dave Holder. We appreciate you. Thanks again for creating amazing stuff, man.
Thank
you very much for having me. Cheers.
Anytime, dude.
You're
Thanks.
welcome.
Cool. Thank you.